What's going on, guys? It's Cameron, and today I wanted to jump a little bit back to the Spider-Man PS4 game because we haven't really heard any news about it since it was revealed. So I figured maybe I should make another Spider-Man PS4 video, and I've already done a top 5 villains that I want to see, but now I'm going to do a top 5 alternate costumes that I want to see as well. So I've got like a list on my phone. I nearly dropped my phone then, that was crazy. Now just before we start, I am not going to have the black suit Spider-Man in this video because I think that's something that everybody always wants. So I'm pretty much just going to kick off this video by jumping straight into the first one. First one is MCU Spider-Man, the one that we saw in the recent Captain America Civil War movie. Everyone was blown away by that costume. Obviously, some people didn't like it, but I actually did like it, especially when Spider-Man was going up against the Winter Soldier and Falcon. That was awesome, and obviously he's got those black web shooters that go all the way around his wrist and stuff, so yeah, pretty cool. Next one is Old Man Spider. Now, I couldn't exactly remember the name of this Spider-Man costume, but I think it is Old Man Spider. Now, we first see it, if I remember, in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 500, which is my favourite Spider-Man comic of all time. Literally, Spider-Man looks to his left and he sees where it all started with the spider bite and everything like that, and then when he looks to his right, he can see where he dies. And in that part on the right, he's actually in this Old Man Spider costume, and that's where he dies, and basically it is pretty much known as the final costume for Spider-Man technically. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. It's got a leather jacket, and apparently it's a reversible leather jacket, so it's like, I don't know, like, it's cool, it's pretty interesting. It is in Spider-Man Edge of Time. I'm not too sure whether it's in any other Spider-Man games, but I do remember playing in it in Edge of Time, so yeah. Next one is the Superior Spider-Man. Now, this was actually in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game, and it was awesome. Like, seriously, I wasn't that much of a super fan of Superior Spider-Man in the comics. Like, yeah, he was cool, but I wasn't really thinking, oh, I'll wear the Spider-Man costume in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game. But when that game actually released, it was an awesome costume. It was really acrobatic. It had the 3D spider on the back of his costume, and it just looked really cool. And it looked like he was wearing sneakers, even though he wasn't. But like, it just looked really flexible and really interesting. So I would love to see that costume, especially because we've got Dr. Octopus returning in the Amazing Spider-Man comics recently, so that's going to be like a good nod to that character if he does come back as Superior Spider-Man or Dr. Octopus. We don't, like, if you read the comics you'll understand what I'm talking about, but yeah. Alright, so next up we've got the Spider-Gwen costume. Now, Spider-Gwen was originally first announced in the Edge of Spider-Verse issue 2 comic, which I reviewed when it first released, so you can check that out now by clicking the top corner of the screen. But in the meantime, what actually happened was Spider-Gwen was in a band. She was in like this punk rocky universe, and she was brought into the Spider-Verse to take down Marlin in the comics, and that is pretty much where Spider-Gwen made her debut. Now, obviously, Spider-Gwen is Gwen Stacy as Spider-Woman, so that's already pretty cool. So to have her in a video game, like we've already had her in the Spider-Man Unlimited iOS and Android game, but to have her in a full-on console/PC game, that's going to be awesome, especially with that hood that's going on. Like, imagine swinging through the city in that costume. So good. Alright, so next up we've got the Spider-Man Classic costume, and when I say the classic costume, I mean the original Spider-Man PS1 costume. You know, the one with like the square spider on the back, if you remember. The one that everyone associates with Spider-Man. You know, the Spider-Man 90s cartoon, that Spider-Man costume, or give or take the Spider-Man Web of Shadows costume. That was pretty similar to the Spider-Man 90s cartoon, and that was just overall awesome. But if we're going to get a Spider-Man costume, it has to be that one, especially when quite a lot of us actually grew up on the Spider-Man 90s cartoon. It would be awesome to have that in a Spider-Man video game here in 2016/2017/2018, whenever the game is releasing. We've also got the Ultimate Spider-Man costumes, and when I say costumes, I mean both Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man and Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man, because obviously there's a little bit of a difference there, but since they're both Ultimate Spider-Man, I figured I'd just put them in the same section of the list. So Miles Morales Spider-Man, he first debuted after Spider-Man was killed in the comics in Peter Parker's Ultimate Spider-Man series, which I am actually reviewing right now. I've just reviewed Ultimate Spider-Man issue 74, so if you want to check that out, click the link wherever it is, I don't know. Basically, after Peter Parker is murdered, Miles Morales takes up the mantle of Ultimate Spider-Man, and he has this black costume with the red webbing going across it and all this crazy stuff. It's really awesome. That was actually in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game and Spider-Man Edge of Time. Now, in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game, I didn't really like the costume that much as I thought I would, but like, hopefully, maybe it was just the feeling of the costume, I'm not too sure, but if they had it in this Spider-Man PS4 game, that would be awesome. And of course, the Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man costume with the huge eyes and just the lankiness of Peter Parker in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. The suit fits in perfectly, and of course, if you've played the Ultimate Spider-Man video game, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Next up, we've got the Spider-Man Sam Raimi classic costume. Now, I don't know whether you guys remember this, but it was in the original Amazing Spider-Man game, and that costume was amazing, like no pun intended, but just the way it felt like when you were playing the video game of Spider-Man, swinging through the city streets, and it had like a nostalgic feel to it when you was playing the Amazing Spider-Man game. So having that again in the Spider-Man PS4 game, especially on PS4 on next-gen graphics, I can just imagine it now, like the nostalgia is already taking over. It's really weird, but it's also like a really classic costume to play in, especially when you're being Spider-Man. We've also got the Spider-Man Ben Reilly costume, and I personally remember this from the Spider-Man 90s cartoon when the final episodes were releasing for that series, and basically Spider-Man had to get alternate versions of himself from different universes to help take down Spider-Carnage and Kingpin and the Green Goblin and the Hobgoblin, and it was just awesome. But that Ben Reilly costume was so strange. It had like black, the entire spider sort of went up and over his shoulders, and it was just really, really unique, and for some reason I just took a liking to it. I'm not too sure why. So the original Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume would be awesome. This might be something that you guys maybe wouldn't have expected to be in this video, but this is the new Spider-Man 2099 costume. And in case you guys don't know what that is, it debuted in the recent Spider-Man 2099 all new, all different universe comics, and pretty much it's the comics after the Secret Wars event, and it's like an updated Spider-Man 2099 costume. It's white with red, it's got jet boots and all this crazy stuff, and obviously I don't think they're going to have jet boots in the Spider-Man PS4 game for that costume, but it would be nice to be able to swing around as Spider-Man 2099 of the all-new, all-different universe. And last, but certainly not least, the new 616 Spider-Man all-new, all-different costume, which in some cases, if you guys aren't a comic book fan, then you will probably have seen it as the Spider-Man costume with the green eyes and the green spider, or the blue eyes and the blue spider, depending which artist it is. This costume is awesome. I remember when it first released in the all-new, all-different Marvel universe, like months ago, and not many people liked it, but as the comics went on, as the issues progressed and the story continued, more and more people took to that costume, and now I'm actually a really big fan of that suit. It's almost like an update of the original Spider-Man costume, and there's something about it. I think it's like the green glow like that. I don't know what it is, but imagine playing the Spider-Man PS4 game with that costume. It would be so good. So that is it, guys, for this Spider-Man alternate costume wish list. I'm trying to keep away from some of the alternate costumes that we've already had in video games before, like the Scarlet Spider costume and the Hornet costume, whatever that was. Like, who's gonna wear that? Like, it was good, but I mean, I didn't wear that once, so please no. Obviously, I've already mentioned at the beginning of the video that I do super want the black Spider-Man costume, especially like the classic black Spider-Man costume from Sam Raimi. There are a few honourable mentions, such as the Iron Spider costume made by Tony Stark from the Civil War comics, the Future Foundation costume from when Spider-Man teamed up with the Fantastic Four, the Cosmic Spider-Man costume, the Silver Armoured Spider-Man costume from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, and Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions game. So guys, that is it for this video, but let me know what you want to see in the new Spider-Man PS4 game. I cannot wait to hear what costumes you guys have for ideas and stuff like that. It will be so interesting to see what everybody else has got to say about my list, and maybe what you've got to say about your list. So let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button if you like my selection, and if you just like this video in general. And for more, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram to stay up to date on these videos. And last but not least, guys, I will see you in my next video.